Hi again. We are learning functions and we learned how to defining functions. Now we will see parameters. We will see functions which takes parameters, namely arguments. So let's go to Jupyter Lab and our topic is parameters, arguments. What is a parameter? Let's define first the parameter. Parameters are inputs you provide to the function. We call them as parameters. You give the input to the function. You pass, this should be marked down, you pass the parameters during function call. You pass the parameters during function call. So now we will create a function. We will define a function which takes parameter, which takes a parameter. And this parameter is going to be a number. Def prints, it will print the square of the given number, square of parameter. So it will take a number, it will calculate the square of that number and print. First, get the square, and we will call this as SQR. SQR is number to the power 2, which is square. Then we will print square. SQR. So that's the function. The function takes an argument, which is a number. It first calculates the square of that function, that number, and assign it to a new variable and give the name SQR. Then it prints SQR. So that's the function definition. So let's call this function first. Call this function without a parameter. Let's see what happens without a parameter. The function expects a parameter, but I will not provide it. I will call it without giving any parameters with an empty parenthesis. And if I run this, it will say this function, print square function, requires one argument. You didn't provide it. It says this in the error message is type error. It requires this parameter. So let's do this in the right way. I want to print the square of 6. Let's say it will print 36. Again, square root of 8, 64. One more time, 3, it will print 9, as you see. Okay, that's how we define functions that takes parameter and call them with the parameter. Okay, let's see another example. Let's see another example here. Now we will define a function. Fn that takes two parameters. The parameters will be short and long, and the function will calculate and print the area of the rectangle. Which rectangle has the short side and long as its sides, two sides, def area of rectangle. This is our function name. As you see, the function name should be self-explanatory. It takes two parameters, short, long. And first it will calculate the area. Area is short times long, and I will assign it to a variable. The variable name will be area itself. Area is equal to short times long. This is the area of rectangle. Then let's print this. Print the area. Print area itself. Okay, our function is ready. Now we will call with two parameters. Call with two parameters. Area of rectangle, I will give 4 as the short side and 6 as the long one, and it will print 24 for me. As you see, the first parameter, positional parameters, the first parameter is going to pass as short. The second, after the comma, the second parameter will pass as long. So it will print the area of this rectangle. Let's first define variables. I will first assign these numbers to variables, s and u. Now I will call the function with s and u, and again it will print 24. Okay, two ways we can directly pass the parameter values in function, or we can assign these values to variables, then pass these variables as parameters to the function. Okay, one more example. Let's make the student data function, which we defined earlier. Student data function parametric. Function as parametric, because it was static. Last time we defined it as static. See, you just call the first name and it prints Peter. That's all. All the time you call this function, it will print Peter. So we will make this parameter and we will pass name, first name, last name to print. Okay. Let me make this full screen and let us define all the functions one by one. The first function is first name function, and I will define it as def student. Its name was student first name, and I will do exactly what I did before without any parameters. So I will copy this and let's see what happens. Okay, this is the function. Now I will define my wrapper function, which is the new function, which is parametric, which will be parametric. Student data. Now it will take first name, last name, age, and language. This is the 4 parameters for this function. Okay, now this function will call student first name function, and it will pass first name. Let's see what happens. I will call this function and I will define first my variables. First name, let's say first is equal to Clark. Last is equal to Kent. Age is equal to 28, and language, lang is equal to Python. Now I will call this student data function with these parameters: first and last and age and lang. If I call this, you will see I got the error because inside the student data function I called student first name and I pass it a parameter, but it doesn't accept any parameters. So this is what the error says. It says it takes 0 arguments, but you are giving 1. So it's wrong. I will leave this here as just a reference for you to see what happens if you call it in the wrong way. Now let's fix this. I will pass first name here as a parameter. Let's change it as first. You don't need to, but I just want to show the name doesn't need to be the same in the functions. Just the order of the parameters is important. So name here, it will print name plus first. Whatever first name you pass here, it will come down and it will print this together. Now let's see what happens. I run, after I change the definition, I run the cell again, as you see. Now I will call this one, and now it will print name as Clark. Correct, no errors this time. So let's define the second one. This is the last name function, and let's define it here. It's last name, and it will take a parameter at last as last. Now again I will again concatenate the last name with last name. So I will print, and let me call it here student last name. I will pass last name from the main function. I will pass this last name to student last name as last. It will print the last name as which parameter I provided here, can't. So it will, as you see, I didn't run the cell. So let me run the cell, and let me run again, call again. Now its name last is Clark, last name is Kent. Okay, let's move on. And the next function is students, I guess, age, student age, and language. This is the age, this is student age. So let me copy and paste it here as age, student's age. It will take an age parameter, and it will concat with age. Now we will get an error, as you see, when we call with 28, but this should be number. Okay, this is number. Now if we call this, you will see we will get an error. I will leave this here and copy and paste it here. Let me run this cell first. I run, then I come here. If I call with these parameters, of course I didn't call student age from the main function. I will pass the age parameter, and it will come to student age. It will try to concatenate, but this is number, so it will give me an error, as you see. Now let me run this one more time, and let me run this again. Now you will see the error says I cannot concatenate string with integer because, and the exact place of the error is this place. As you see, in the student age function, it tries to concatenate age with age, which is a number, so it gives an error. To fix that, I will change this. I will cast it as string. Now this will cast, this will convert the age, numeric age, into string, so it will easily concatenate. You will see. Now I will call this again. I will copy this to a new cell, and now if I run this, it will print age 28. It's correct now. The last function is language, and I will redefine it. Student language. It will take language parameter as lang, let's say, and it will print as language plus the lang parameter from outside. Now student language, I will pass language here. As you see, it will print language also. Let me run this, and let me come to the end and run this again. Now you see language is also printed. Okay, too much examples. I hope you got the idea of how to define parametric functions with parameters, how to pass parameters to functions, and how to pass parameters also in the nested functions, how to consume parameters. That's all. In the next video, we will talk about scope of functions. Join me in the next one.